Hey, welcome everyone. In this video I'm teaching you about BitTorrent, or just torrents as most people refer to them as. Now, if you want to see the written version of this video, you can find a link to our website in the video description. Now, maybe thinking to yourself, holy moly, he's teaching about torrents. Isn't that illegal? Not exactly, depends on how you use it. Let's take, for example, me, okay? I'm very ugly. You have to put up with my face during these videos, but I use my videos for the purposes of good. I teach you about technology, how to use it, consumer privacy rights, technology rights, and all that good stuff. But it is illegal for me to go outside because people have to put up with my ugly face, and I stink very bad. I'm very smelly. So I know my place. I stay inside 24/7. I'm in a bubble. Anyway, it's the same with torrents. You can use them for good, or you can use them for bad with illegal purposes like downloading movies illegally, songs and video games and what have you. Now, in a follow-up video, which will be, if I remember, I'll put a link to it in the video description, otherwise it'll be my channel, I'm going to actually show how to use torrents. So here I'm explaining them. The next video will be showing you how to use it, and I'll be using it 100% legal, as in it is allowed, okay? And no matter where you are in the world, so be sure to watch that video as a follow-up. Let's talk about the difference about BitTorrent and torrent, as well as what they are, okay? The key thing at the very top level is BitTorrent. That is the actual protocol. It is peer-to-peer. So when you're downloading a file from the internet, for example, something from, say, a Microsoft website. I'm here in Toronto. So if I want to download something from a Microsoft website, I'll go to their website, which is the closest data center to us in Toronto, where their website is being hosted most likely, and I'll download it straight from the website down to my computer. Okay, it's like a one-to-one path connection. Peer-to-peer is very different because what's happening is that I want to download a file. Let's say I want to download Linux Mint. That's actually what I'll be demonstrating for torrents in the follow-up videos mentioning. I want to download it over a torrent. Well, I can do that. But what happens is I'm not downloading it directly from one source website or one point of connection. I'm downloading it from multiple people that have the Linux Mint file and are sharing it to other people like myself. So my computer will literally be connecting from my computer to another computer, hence peer-to-peer, or P2P for short, okay? So that is BitTorrent, the protocol at its level. So what is torrent then? Because that's what people always say. No one really says BitTorrent as much. Torrents is the actual file you download in order to start downloading using peer-to-peer methods. So for example, let's say I want to download Linux Mint, okay? As I'll demonstrate in the next video, I will download the torrent file and open it. And when I open it, it'll then have all the data I need to connect to all the other peers, the other computers that are sharing Linux Mint, and I can download it from them, okay? That is a torrent file. That's like the same as having in a computer when you have a .pdf file because it's PDF, or .mp3 because it's an MP3 file. Torrent is the same concept. It's a .torrent file, okay? There's another way to use it. It's becoming more common than a torrent file, is magnet links. So when you go to a website, you want to download something via BitTorrent Client, which we'll talk about next. What'll happen is instead of downloading the torrent file and you double click it and then it opens up in your BitTorrent Client, you might click the link instead and it'll open up a magnet link. So it won't download the torrent file directly. It instead just open it directly from the web URL and then map the metadata and all that other good stuff, which we'll cover shortly very on. The torrent client is the software you'll use to actually utilize the actual torrent or magnet link. So when you're using the torrent client, you have clients like uTorrent, which has become heavily bloated with ads and whatnot. But then there's a free open source software version, which I use, called BitTorrent. Extremely popular, very popular. But when you basically open a torrent file or a magnet link, it'll open in one of those programs, uTorrent, BitTorrent, whatever you may use. There's a ton of them. It'll then show all the files you're trying to download that are part of that torrent, the size of the file name and everything, and blah, blah. It's a very user-friendly interface. Some of these clients can get very deep and granular with information and how you want to configure them. So for example, in BitTorrent, I can configure it that I can cap my download speed. So for example, if I leave it at unlimited and my wife is watching something or my kids are trying to download something maybe, the torrent itself could kill my internet connection at my house. It'll hog all the bandwidth. So you can cap it and say, no, maybe just cap it at 700 megabits per second instead of the full gig that we have. Or you can cap your upload speed. If you're on cable internet, the faster your upload, the worse your download speed. Right? That's just a common problem with cable internet. So that's that. You can set where you're going to download the files. So typically, let's say the torrent will download to your desktop, well, maybe you can change it to your downloads folder or whatever. Basically, this is the thing where you configure everything, okay, on how you retrieve the torrent itself. Swarm is basically all the connected devices, so all the devices in the peer-to-peer. So I want to download a torrent, okay? It's Linux Mint, for example. Well, who's part of all that peer-to-peer network sharing Linux Mint? Well, it's going to be the swarm. That's all the connected devices that are sharing Linux Mint. Seeders are the connected devices that have 100% of the file completed. So if I want to download Linux Mint, it's an ISO file, .iso. They'll have that file 100% completed and they're sharing with anybody. So anyone who's downloading from a seeder will be able to download the complete thing. Leechers are people that are still downloading, okay? They're under 100%. So if I were to click a torrent file or a magnet link for the first time, I've just started my download, technically I'm a leecher because I just started downloading. Or if you're at 35% completed download, you're still a leecher. Heck, there are situations where you can be like 99% completed download. I've seen this, it's pretty annoying. And you're stuck, okay? Because there are no seeders. There's no one sharing 100% completion, okay? And your torrent download is stuck at 99.9% because everyone is a leecher. They're all stuck at the same spot, 99.9. There's no one sharing the last little bit percentage that you need to complete the file. And the cool thing about torrents in general, even when you're a leecher, you can still upload and download at the same time. So let's say I download 10% of a file, I can then start uploading and sharing that 10% with other people that are just downloading as well, while I'm still working towards 100% completion. This is the beautiful thing about torrents. And again, I'll show, it's more easy to understand in the demonstration video in the follow-up video, okay? Trackers are the servers that track the swarm. So for example, you might go to a website and it shows how many seeders there are, so how many people are sharing 100% completion, and how many leechers, so how many people are still trying to download it. It'll show the actual numbers on the website. That's thanks to trackers. It's showing the data, and that gets refreshed every so often. You can see, okay, this file here has 0 seeders, but all leechers. Chances are I'm never going to complete this download, right? Unless a seeder ever comes online, but that's luck of the draw. So let's compare traditional download to BitTorrent, and then I'll use an analogy to even make it even more simplified, okay? So we use Steam as an example for traditional download, and then compare it to torrents. With Steam download, the video game store from Valve, is that you have the Steam client, you go through your gaming library, you're like, I want to play this video game, you press it and it downloads, it's super easy, you walk away. It's very mindless, very simple. Not only that, it usually has some decent speeds. It's pretty consistent. So if you start downloading at, I don't know, 500 megabits per second, which is close to 50 megabytes per second, because it's 8 bits in a byte. Anyway, I'm not going to do this whole calculation. I have another video explaining that. Then it'll probably stay consistently at that speed. However, there are some problems with this. This will probably never happen with Steam, but just use an example. Let's say for some reason that video game is taken down by Steam. Again, very unlikely, but it could happen. It's a legit video game, there's nothing wrong with it, and Steam just takes it down for whatever reason. Well, it's gone then. Your source of that video game is kaput, okay? You can probably download it somewhere else off the internet, but it might be full of viruses, you're taking a risk, and so on and so forth. So that's one problem with downloading traditionally off a website or some sort of big corporate client like Steam. The other problem with downloading from services from like Steam, Google Drive, OneDrive, whatever, is that they might throttle your speed. So you can get probably consistent speed, doesn't mean it's your maximum. So if I'm downloading a video game at 500 megabits per second, hey, it's downloading consistently at 500 megabits per second. The problem is my internet at home is 1 gigabits per second. Why am I not getting my full speed? It's because they need to throttle it because there could be millions of people connecting at the same time and downloading, okay? Those are the gotchas and the caveats with traditional downloading on the internet. With torrents, it's different because you're connecting to multiple peers. It could be a combination of seeders and leechers, or maybe just seeders, or maybe just leechers, one or the other, you get the idea. But you're connecting to other people, most likely hosting on their computer at their home, or maybe some people might have dedicated servers sharing files over BitTorrent protocol. This is great because you don't have a single point of failure. If the torrent is popular enough, let's say there's 10,000 people, seeding it and leeching it, you can connect through those 10,000 people worldwide. You don't have a single point of failure. In addition to that, of those 10,000 people, you could have maybe 3,000 people that have it as seeding 100%. So if if 50 people drop off, and they're seeders, who cares? You still have thousands of other people to download from. The other beautiful thing about torrents is that when you're downloading from that many people, and there's that many people sharing their connection across the world, it's kind of like a community thing, then you might actually hit the top end of your internet connection. So if you have 1 gigabits per second, you might actually see 1 gigabits per second. You might see it going consistently. So you can download a 5 gig file in no time. It is incredibly fast sometimes. It's astonishing, really cool. But of course, the problem is this. If there's not enough people sharing it, well, that speed could be dropped dramatically because people you're downloading from, maybe they don't have fast internet to upload to, or maybe they capped it. Maybe they put a cap in their client. Like, I don't want to upload that much. It's too much on my internet plan. The other problem is if there's not enough seeders, again, I told you that you might not be able to ever download the file completely, okay? So traditional downloading and BitTorrent, neither of them are perfect. They have their pros and cons, something to keep in mind. So how does this work? With traditional internet, I think it's kind of like a restaurant. You go to a restaurant, you sit down. If it's empty and quiet, you will get your food pretty fast. It's cooked well. That's like traditional internet. However, if the internet or the website or whatever is very busy, you might be stuck in a queue and things slow down because you're serving too many people. So it might take longer to get your food or your download, and that's not a great experience, but that's how that works. Torrents, I think, is closest to Thanksgiving, like here in Canada and the US. It's like a kitchen, okay? You have a whole family of maybe 20 people getting together. They're all in the kitchen making food together. You're all sharing and putting in effort, so everyone's gonna try to eat and combine their effort to eat that same meal together. That's kind of like peer-to-peer. They're all the peers. All the people in the kitchen cooking are the peers, helping each other. Now, if 1 or 2 people suddenly get ill and they can't help cook, well, it's not gonna stop the whole, swarm, the whole effort of everyone sharing and collaborating, but it will slow things down just a tad bit, okay? Overall, it's a good thing. However, let's pretend you're near the end of the meal prep and 2 people know the key recipes and all of a sudden they can't make it or something happens and they're gone. They're kind of like your seeders. They're the only people that can help you finish making that meal, okay? And if they're gone, you're all leechers, you're all in the cook and you're just like, what are we doing here? How do we finish this meal? We don't know. Okay, so I think that's the closest analogy I could think of. I really hope that helps. Things to consider, okay, with torrents. These are applicable whether you're doing something illegal or legal, but hopefully you're not breaking the law, but I'm gonna list out everything anyway. First and foremost, the thing about peer-to-peer is that your traffic is pretty much exposed across the internet, okay? There's pretty much no secret about what you're doing, okay? It's visible to your internet service provider and copyright organizations like movie studios and whatnot. So that's where a lot of people say, hey, get a VPN, it masks your traffic. VPN will encrypt your traffic, so your internet service provider can still see you're downloading a 5 gigabytes of data, but they can't see where that data is connecting to and what's in that data, okay? The other thing is, of course, hopefully you're not breaking laws, but I'm just explaining for educational purposes, right? Is that copyright organizations can't see what you're doing. So you could be downloading a movie illegally, which hopefully you're not, and they won't know that you're doing it because the VPN will mask that traffic, okay? Or encrypt it, rather. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you are downloading torrents, it doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal. Some internet service providers, ISPs, do not like peer-to-peer because they automatically assume that you're probably doing something illegal that's not right. And what they might do is throttle your internet speed. They might make it slow. So if you have 1 gigabits per second, they could just drop it to like 200 or 100 for the peer-to-peer connection. And that would be hidden by VPN as well. So throttling is another concern. Reliability and speed I already mentioned. I'm not going to cover it again because other things to consider. I just want to repeat this again. That if the torrent is not that popular, chances are you might never ever complete the download. You might be stuck as a leecher forever. It's very possible. I've seen it before. And of course, you could get some really bad speeds if there are not a lot of people sharing that torrent. And the availability of that torrent isn't guaranteed. But I mean, technically nothing is on the internet if you're trying to download something, even off a website. So that's that. There's another concern is be careful what you download. A lot of people say, if you use torrents, you might get a virus. I've never seen that happen yet, okay? I'll be very honest with you. I've never seen that happen. I don't know anyone who uses torrents who's ever actually experienced that. But It is absolutely possible. However, my counter argument is that that could happen on anything on the internet. Google are trying to say, hey, you shouldn't download stuff that's not from Google Play Store. It's full of malicious code and viruses. Do you know how many viruses get on the Google Play Store and how many malicious apps get on there? Heck, it happens to Steam, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I think it happened recently. So torrents, forget it. Literally anything you do on the internet could have malicious data and traffic. Okay, the internet is just like walking on the road, crossing the street. You got to be careful. You do it appropriately, you'll be just fine. Another thing to consider, this is not bad per se, but it's more informational because the things to consider is public versus private trackers. Okay, public is exactly how it sounds. You go to a website, there's a list of torrents you can fiddle with and start downloading files from, and it's literally open to the public. Like anyone in the world can just go to it, no problem. There's good and bad to this. The good is that it's open to the public. Anyone can go to it, right? So it's very popular. Files being shared there. You're going to be sharing it with thousands of people around the world. Potentially, it depends. But the negative to this is that because it's open to the public, you might have some people uploading malicious files. Again, I've never seen this, but technically it's possible. They might create their own torrent link or magnet link, and they might share malicious files. The other problem with this is that organizational copyright firms can start connecting to these peer-to-peers and see the IP addresses of people downloading this stuff. So if you're a movie organization, you might join the torrent swarm and see, okay, here's the list of IP addresses that are downloading illegally. Who can we catch that's not using a VPN? And typically you would get some sort of, at least here in Canada and US, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but you would get an email from your ISP, your internet service provider, stating, hey, we noticed you're downloading illegal content using peer-to-peer protocol and blah, blah. This is a warning letter before we cut you off, stuff like that, okay? Then the private trackers, there's good and bad too as well. It's exactly how you think, it's private. The bad part of it is also kind of a good thing in a sense, is that it's usually by invite only, which is good because it's very enclosed community, right? But that's bad because you have to try to get an invite. And if you're uncool like me, you'll never get in. So yeah, story of my life, pretty much. But anyway, there are a lot of benefits to this though, is that the seeders tend to seed for a very lengthy period. Like they are dedicated, like, hey, this is a close community. There are certain rules and guidelines you gotta meet to stay up to our standards and stay within this community or we're gonna kick you out. One of them is seeding for a very long time. The other thing about this is that they have some very strict rules that with public torrents, you can leech, so just download it. The second you have 100% completion, you can just drop the connection, turn off the computer, and just enjoy whatever you downloaded and not help anybody, which is bad. You should try to seed back at least 100%. So if you download a 2 gig file, try to upload 2 gigs worth of data back, okay? That's like the bare minimum required. But with private trackers, you might have a ratio of like, maybe you have to upload back 1,000%. So if you download a 10 gig file, well, you're expected to upload back 100 gigs to the rest of the private tracking community to show you've proven your weight. So there's some good and bad because some people have very limited internet plans. They have very slow internet. So going on these private trackers and you're trying to upload a lot, it might kill your plan or your entire speed. So good and bad there. There are some other more complex items like setting the right ports. There's hash checking, so it'll validate the integrity of the file. Like there's a whole bunch of other stuff. You can really make torrents complicated. I would say 99% of torrent users don't. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to check out my website, link in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help. Subscribe, it literally helps my channel grow. And thanks for watching.